Once again, Video was the main focus and my favorite character in this book. She really went through the ringer on this journey. Hello, welcome to another book review. I'm your host, Kristen, and today I will be reviewing the YA fantasy book, Strong Hearts Are Mandatory, Stars of the Silver Screen, by Tia Peltier. In case you're interested in buying this book afterward, content warnings are animal injury/death, horror imagery, murder, nightmares, hallucinations, anxiety attacks, kidnapping, manipulation, mentions of torture, possession, and fire. I will start with the overall plot, then writing, world building, and finally the characters. Also, this review will be spoiler free until between these timestamps, so if you want to avoid spoilers, I recommend skipping over that section. Now that those notes are out of the way, let's begin. According to the back of the book, the plot is as follows. After the last known mage is defeated, all seems right within the land of Media. However, a conduit of the sorcerer survives, harnessing the forbidden power, and throws the technology-ruled land back into peril once again. After being re-verified and having her name cleared, Video is back on the hunt to stop magic, this time with her older sibling Jukebox by her side to help her. The sisters leave their family within the safety of the mountains, not knowing the mage has other plans and powers to use against a few chosen members who succumb to the temptation of magic. Trouble is at every turn. Video, again, is unsure who to trust, but this time she begins to include herself in that fear. For the plot, it was definitely more focused than the last book. It was divided up into 3 storylines, with Video and Jukebox being the main focus. Audio and radio made up 2 subplots, which although were not in the book as much, were still crucial to the story. Personally, I liked this format, especially when everything was tied together near the end. It also allowed the characters in the other 2 stories to be fleshed out more. Another advantage was that it broke up any potential monotony. A detail that irritated me was that despite the progress of the prologue, tracking down Screen was slow. Although seeing Screen's point of view from his chapters did help the reader get to know him more, Screen also spilled info through internal monologues. This meant that when Jukebox and Video were trying to figure out the reasons behind Screen's actions, as well as where he was at, it was frustrating. The reader knew the answers right off the bat, but had to wait for the cast to arrive at them later. It was like watching characters figure out a murder mystery when the audience knew who had done it in the first act. All that said, the ending fight between the 2 sisters and Screen was well written. Video going so far as to use excessive force and nearly killing Screen was tense. It was also exciting in that Video kept having constant breaks from reality, so she was at a serious disadvantage. In terms of writing, Teal has gotten better at descriptions. I specifically remembered her describing the soft grass Video slept on that led into a forest, which helped draw the reader more into the world. However, I did still have issues with the writing. One complaint I had was that I felt like smell should have been more included as a sense. This is because in the brain, Smell is a direct pathway to memory. By including smell in the description, it can help the reader be immersed in the world even more. Everything aside, it was nice watching Tila steadily improve her craft. She's definitely come a long way in terms of writing from her first book, and I suspect she will only continue to get better with each new novel release. In terms of world building, the reader got to visit some new places, which was quite fun. The underground city, built for predators that weren't cats, was very unique. I also liked how places beyond the lands of media were elaborated on via Screen's former village. Finally, the way magic was further detailed and how it worked, along with explaining how radio had been revived, was quite interesting and left me wanting to learn more. Once again, Video was the main focus and my favorite character in this book. She really went through the ringer on this journey. Besides her family and film being furious at Video for seemingly betraying them for the Jester, Video also had to deal with being attacked through her nightmares her entire trip. It got so bad that Video refused to sleep for days. Now, I did get frustrated that Video didn't explain what happened with the Jester when she first got the chance. It made sense that Video couldn't tell her siblings right after being rescued, since she had to heal from serious head wounds all winter. However, Video also avoided jukebox and radio from the start of the spring until audio forced her to interact. I understood that Video may not have wanted to face jukebox out of fearing her sister's reaction, but not clearing up her motives only made the situation fester. Plus, Video being rude to film didn't exactly help. Thankfully, Video explained her perspective before the end of the book, so I'm not gonna harp on this too much. Despite my minor irritation, I did still feel for Video throughout her chapters. Video's physical and mental state slowly deteriorating was hard to read. Even when she slept, it was anything but restful, and Video began to have trouble separating her nightmares and hallucinations from reality. It made it difficult for her to fight Screen, as she would space out while trying to dodge blasts of magic. When Video finally broke down and cried to Audio about her visions, it was heart-wrenching. Video was just so tired and had been through so much, including having the Jester erase more memories. Although Video recalled some of them, the memories were about her committing crimes in order to save her family from being killed. I hope Video eventually gets some form of cat therapy, because my god, she needs it. As far as Video's siblings went, I really liked Jukebox. I understood why she held a slight grudge toward her younger sister, as Video did take a bit to tell Jukebox why she had left Jukebox and film for the Jester. Once Video explained herself, however, Jukebox was a lot more understanding after that. The siblings didn't get along super well at the start of the mission, but it was still fun to see part of their dynamic shining through underneath all their stubbornness. I especially thought it was cute when Jukebox winked at Video in order to say that she'll keep an eye on her. I also appreciated when she forced Video to finally rest, as Video has a bad habit of running herself ragged when it comes to missions with personal stakes. Jukebox was even kind enough to catch Video a robin after deducing that it might be her sister's favorite meal due to the challenge of bird hunting. The one complaint I had about Jukebox was how she said that video would be the same as Screen if she killed him. Honestly, I don't like that type of logic. Getting rid of a threat to your entire country is not the same as a magic user murdering innocent cats for his own purposes. In short, Jukebox and Video's relationship felt like an actual sibling dynamic without being forced. Video picking up on and using Juke as a nickname for Jukebox was also quite adorable. I hope to see more of them in the next few books. This time, Audio got a bigger role as the new mayor of Clouder City. It was interesting to see what she was like away from her family and with new responsibilities that didn't revolve around gardening, medicine, or cooking. Even though Audio was forced into the role of mayor, she adjusted rather well to it and was touched when she was titled as the audiobook star. I was surprised when she decided to listen to the advice of her old mentor, Phantascope. After all the trouble the mage had caused in the past, including attacking Audio's kittens, I wondered exactly why Audio took his suggestions. Sure, the mage could be convincing, and Audio argued with him on some choices, but Audio, sweetheart, no. Audio even went as far as allowing one of her sons to use magic to help grow the trees that made up the new Clouder City. Thankfully, the ending was quite satisfying, which I'll get into during the spoiler section. All in all, though she did make mistakes, that's what made it entertaining to see Audio in a different element and have to develop more on her own. As for Radio, she finally got some agency. Sure, she was a whiny jerk in this book, but she was still performing actions that had an impact on how everything wrapped up. I was rather frustrated when Radio decided to listen to the mage's voice that Audio should be the new mayor rather than herself. This was because I was worried Radio would merely sit around the house and complain again. So I was glad when Radio's choice kicked off Audio's own story and led Radio down her own side quest full of mischief. Since Phantascope was also in Radio's mind, she agreed to steal files from Signal's office and look at them so the mage could receive more info. I also found it amusing when Signal kept throwing Radio out of the house as punishment for taking his documents. However, even without Phantascope's influence, Radio was a massive brat. She complained about gardening, cooking, and didn't even know how to groom herself, since she had never done it before. Eventually, she called her servants to the house to care for her and make food, claiming that she was doing them a favor and that they must be lost without being able to tend to Radio. Not to mention that Radio was cruel to her partner, Stereo. Radio stole Stereo's food, lectured him for not taking over Radio's chores, and did not ever give him an ounce of gratitude when Stereo did hunt food for her. Fortunately, Radio did realize how awful she was to Stereo, along with nearly getting Video and Jukebox killed by listening to the mage. Her chapter also briefly touched upon Radio's trauma of having her throat ripped out. I hope the consequences of Radio's actions will be a major wake-up call, and her attitude will improve. Screen was the main antagonist in this book, and was a good one at that. Unlike the jester, who toyed with his victims, Screen did no such thing. In the opening of the novel, he leveled Clouder City by torturing it with magic. When he was confronted by the studio star, aka his former boss, Screen did not hesitate to blast her from the clock tower and put her on life support. After that, Screen's actions only went downhill from there. He slaughtered all of his coworkers, including his best friend, and later murdered another cat named Error in the archives. He kidnapped Jukebox as well. Finally, Screen also tried to kill the two sisters when they went to capture him. Screen's backstory was sad, but I liked that it didn't take away from how awful his actions were, even if it did explain them. Finding out that Screen's village, including his mate, had been killed by Phantascope was terrible. Worse, Phantascope had appeared to Screen as curiosity, so that when he promised to get Screen's mate back, the Tomcat had no idea that he was working for the same mage that took everything from him. All in all, Screen was a great antagonist and a force to be reckoned with. I can't wait to see more of his journey further down the line. Although Phantascope was physically out of commission due to how severely he had been injured by Signal, that didn't stop him from causing trouble. Besides invading the minds of both radio and audio, Phantascope was using Screen in order to get the cube back. The mage also had a major hand in the designs of the new Clouder City by using living trees to make the buildings instead of cutting them down. Beyond the plans of the city, Phantascope tormented Video on both a daily and nightly basis. He went after her through dreams each time Video attempted to sleep. In the mornings, Phantascope would use hallucinations in which he would strangle Video. It got to the point where Video didn't sleep for 2 days straight and clawed at her own neck while in a vision. Phantascope was absolutely vile, and I want him to be taken care of soon so Video can finally get the break she deserves. Alright, now onto the spoilers. I'll count to 3 seconds if you want to keep this book spoiler free. 1, 2, 3. And here we go! Although Screen's motives for using magic were explained early on, it took a while for the full endgame to be revealed. It turned out that Phantascope wanted to use the cube to either turn Jukebox or Video into an imitation of Screen's deceased partner, Static. Jukebox's entire identity and agency would have been erased. Furthermore, it was theorized by the sisters that Phantascope would have later used the same tactic on another innocent cat in order to finish bringing pictures back to life. Absolutely terrifying. For Screen's trial, I was surprised when Video decided to help defend him. It was good that Video wanted to show mercy and help the Tomcat not get the death sentence. However, I felt like too many charges against Screen were dropped, considering he had done all the crimes willingly. To be fair though, Screen getting unverified from his position and receiving a sentence of a lifetime of community service was still a fitting consequence, and better than the death penalty. In terms of Audio's arc, after she heard what Phantascope had been doing in Video's dreams, along with his plan for Video, she realized she had been tricked. Of course, Audio was furious and made sure her former mentor could never get into her head again. I only wished, for her family's sake, Audio had realized she was being deceived sooner. There were also the last chapters before the epilogue. Personally, I felt like it wrapped up too quickly. Once Screen's sentence had been handed out, Video was disowned by Signal for not pushing for Screen's execution. This caused Video to yell at Jukebox, who had persuaded Video not to kill Screen. After that, Video ran off and was comforted by Faith before going back to her family. The sequence of events happened too quickly for any of the weight of what had occurred to sink in with the reader. Finally, the epilogue was great. Phantascope started to rebuild his form and became a combination of a cat and a monkey with wings. Not only was this a creepy visual, but even more so when the mage declared that all of media had to be destroyed. Overall, I give this book 4 stars. All of the sections were great, although the story did have an abrupt ending. I enjoyed that more characters got time to shine and develop without overshadowing the main plot. Also, the ending with Phantascope was incredibly tense, with him wanting to get revenge on all of media. Can't wait to get into book 4. I hope Tila will keep improving her craft and wish her the best of luck on her writing journey.